Welcome to Trading Lounge in the S&P 500 for the 27th of September. And I'm unsure of the wave count. I can see the market moving in both directions. So what we can do is look at those counts and look at what particular points would justify a short trade and a long trade. Starting on the daily chart here, as I've mentioned all this week here and last week, is that the 2950 is a real sort of catalyst for support and also a breakdown of further move down to the next level here, which would be the 2900, the 61.8% from this move up through here. So this number here is what we need to consider in the bigger picture. So I might just have a look at the volume for this. The volume on the CFD platforms is sometimes it's a bit like Forex volume. It's just an indicator. It's pretty much, it's not too bad, but it's pretty much just how a volume would be added on every tick. So every time the price changes, that would add as a positive or negative on the volume. So it works sort of okay, but you've got to keep an eye on it. So but in this case here, we can see that the drop here for this was on higher volume than the previous move to the upside here. So and then this move up through here is on lower volume than this one moving down. So really that's divergence. That's what you would see in indicators, in RSIs and so on. So there is still pressure to the downside for this market, and we are under the 3,000. This is the closest, largest number, and we're under that. So we should technically be looking for short trades with all of this. Okay, but let's move in on the short side here. Let's just go to if we had to count this as a bearish market, I'll just remove that. This is pretty much how I'd see it. This is lower here than here, but remember that on the physical market, the SPX of cash market, physical market, this is the high here. So we can count 5 waves down here. We could count this down as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, and we'll look at that count. And then up for 1 and back for 2 and moving up further here. So this is where it becomes sort of interesting in the fact that, at a certain point we can look to be short. You may already still be short at 29.95, and that's fine. And we can just leave the stop above this one here. If this is the case here, then we will be looking into a very strong move to the downside, because would be wave 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 here, and then we've got 1 here and 2 here. So this would be the third of the third. So this could be quite strong coming down through here. So we need to know at what point here that we can go short here. So we will be looking at this on the tick chart here, and just by the by here while we're here, the 2972 is the 61.8% retracement level roughly. So the 2972 as a retested resistance would be a catalyst for a setup and a trigger to the downside at that point. Okay, so we'll go in and have a look at that. We should actually do that right now. Then we can just look at the bullish side after that. So I'm just going to drag across my 20 tick chart here. We look at normally 100 and then drilling in with the 20. So in this case here, on the bullish side, we can look at this low here as wave C, and we'll look at that in next. But at the moment, we're looking at this move down here as wave 1. So if I can just bring you in the picture, that's wave 1 here, and then wave 2, then wave 1 and wave 2 here. So bringing this back over here, and I'll just open this up a little bit here. And here we can look at this as wave 1, and then back up here for wave 2 here as an A wave here, a B wave here, and a C wave here. I have to say on the this is the futures market drifting in the off hours, And in the cash market, we don't see that move down here. In the cash market, it counts quite nicely all the way straight up here for that. So this, in my mind, can be counted in two different ways. So we just need to be a little bit mindful that and not sell ourselves on this here, because this could also, when we look at the cash market, would count up quite nicely as wave one here. So we just need to be a bit mindful that this is not on the cash market, this pullback here. So this just attaches itself to here, and this move is straight up from that point. So, but if I had to count it up, it would be an A and a B and a C here. C wave's a little bit short in terms of the A, but I've seen that before. This move down through here can quite easily be counted as wave one down here. So just looking at that with a little bit of detail with wave one and two here, and then all the way down here for the third wave here. In the third wave here, we can count that down as 1 and 2, 3 here, an A and a B and a C for 4, and down for 5 here, then back for 4, pulling back to the wave 4s of 1 lesser degree roughly, and the closest largest number, and then moving down here for wave 5 here. And then this move up here on the cash market and this market, they're the same. So it does count. I mean, I can count 5 waves from. Let me just have a look here. I think I've made a mistake. Yeah, I think I've made a mistake here, but I'll come back and look at that mistake in a moment. But at the moment, an A and a B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the C of wave 2 here, then down for wave 1, an A and a B and a C back for wave 2 here, and then down for wave 3 here. So the reason I got this number here, the 2972, was simply from this low here to this high here roughly. We can see close enough that that's the 50-60% retracement level here, sitting on that number here. So in a bullish market, this can come down to here and then move up. So if that 72 becomes the retested resistance, then we'll get in the first little short trade here, and then on this is all of group 2 here, 65, 72 and 80 here. So we would be seeing the 61.8% and the 72 become the retested resistance here, and then that would be the short trade from that point if that became the tested resistance from that point. You can also start to add in on 65 being the resistance, and then you expect to bounce off the 50 that normally comes back to the 60, and then when that becomes the resistance, or you can see the corrective pattern within that failing, then you can obviously move in on the short side on that side there as well. The little mistake that I was just looking back over here while I'm here was that I didn't quite see 5 waves in this structure here. I saw 1 and 2 here, and 3, 4, 5 here. So it kind of makes a bit of a third wave here. Then I've got this pullback. Then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm wondering if this is actually wave 1 here, wave 2 here, wave 3 here, wave 4 here, and wave 5 here. So this is actually all of wave 1 here, and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here, possibly. But you know, I'm looking at both directions. So I'll remove that now, so you know where the short trade is. So the first position would be the 2972 as the resistance. So you would need the market. If I can just explain using this one here, the market's moved through here and come back up and retested here. Okay, so when the market moves through here, because I can't draw on this side of the price, I'll just use this. So the market comes through, has the low, then that becomes the catalyst there, the trigger. You can move the trigger up to the second point here as well, and if it fails, then you're on the short side here. But you do need that. Using this, you know, just using this here will save you. Not that we need saving, it's too late for that. It's just a very simple little thing that, and the same thing here as well. The ABC can be wrapped up into this little bit here, but this is the 50-60% retracement level back up into this space here. So in a way, this has retested this level here, the 2980. So that means that you could also short from this point here as well, if that was going to be the case. You know, otherwise we'll see this hit this box and then pull back into that space. So, so I'm going to remove this now. And then this was that little all in here that we were looking at. So now I want to go to the bullish side of things here. So there was two ways to count this. First of all, I had this here as an A wave and a B wave and a C wave over here. But I'm not that keen on that because this B wave made the top here. Not that that's the end of the world, but I prefer this being the top here. So on the 1 hour chart here, I've got this as the top, and it just counts a little bit nicer this way with an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave to this point, and then up for 1 here, then back for 2, then we look at this up here for 1, and then back here for 2 at that point there. So technically we can go long above any of these highs. We normally use this high, then we bring it down to the next high, to this high. We can bring it down to this high in terms of being long from that point. So just use that. We can put that there. We may be able to get a better entry on that, but that we'll just leave that there for the time being, looking at the bullish pattern for this. Like I say, this move up through here on the cash market, it's actually quite a nice trend straight up here, but the futures market in the off hours created this pullback here, which made it a little bit difficult. And then we're looking for, yesterday when we finished speaking, we were looking for a pullback in here for this, for wave 2 as an ABC pattern here. And yeah, so that's occurred. So we're coming closer to our setup now. So, but like I said, we can take that one there. If we go to the tick chart, let's just go in and have a look at this now. This will be 100 ticks. The last one that we looked on was 20 ticks. So in this case here, we can count this as 1 here, and an A and a B and a C wave here for wave 2. And then in this case here, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. So once again, we're still left with this same scenario here. So this wave 2 here, not that the market has to pull back to, it can pull back 40%, 50%, 60%, 80%. God, it can pull all the way. This can pull all the way back to one point within this low here. That's what it can do. So, it's not the end of, it's not the be end and end all here. But so what we can do here is we can look for, if we take this high here, try and get a little bit accurate here, because this could be the start of the move up here, but we know that that's the 61.8% here. So when I drag this over to the closest largest number, we've got a couple of things here. We've got 10 points between 80 and 90 here. So the halfway mark, the 5 here, is the 5 is the second strongest number. So getting support on that would be helpful. And the next one, and of course we've got 8 up here, would have a little group 2 within here, of course. And then here from 80, we've got 1, 2, and 3 here. So 1, 2, and 3. Just try and get that. That's good enough. So this is all of group 1 here now. So 1, 2, and 3 is group 1. So if we get support on top of group 1, then we know we always get to 5 after that. So if we get tested support on this, then another way to look at this too is this would be, as a corrective move, an A and a B and a C wave up here and finish here. So you could also count 5 waves up through here on this. So we've got 1 and 2 here at the moment, and this will be the 3rd wave and a 4th wave and a 5th wave here. So if I can just draw this out a little bit. It's 8:05 in Sydney, so they're just resetting the platform. It jumps around a little bit. So if I just use over here, I could just use here. So we would be looking for the first high above the level here, like this, and then would be looking for a little corrective move here, and then these highs here become the catalyst for another move to the upside here. Another reason that I think that it's bullish is when I have a look at the European market, so I'm just going to bring up the FTSE here, just for the buy, is that it's also been going through a corrective phase here as well. And it's clearly pushed, higher now. So we could look at all of this as an A and a B and a C here, of course, but it's more likely to look at this as 1 and 2 and 3 here and 4 here and 5 here because it's so close to the top here. So this is looking bullish here for the European market. So for this to have wave 4 and so on and wave 5 to the upside, it kind of needs the US a little bit, you know what I mean? Needs that thing. So if this is going to go higher, then we could look at it's likely that this is going to go higher as well. There's a case for both directions here, and I just can't. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. When it's not easy and it's unclear, well, then it's best to say that it's unclear and I'm unsure, and then we need to look at tactics, and that's what we've been doing today for this. So, support on 3 here would be the first little trade. And then look to add on to 5 and then keep building to the upside here. If this drops below here, we talked about the 72 becoming the retested resistance to short. Well, we could also short in this space here as well, just especially if that just goes up to here and then comes back down through here. So that becomes the short trade through this area through here. All right, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the weekend. Cheers.
Report unless it's done.
Really?
Just holding up some plates.